Yeah, good afternoon. Recap Saturday's win. Just really proud of our team and how they stuck together, and specifically defensive players Zion Young, Eddie Kelly, Johnny Walker, Ja'Kai Lang. I thought those guys at the defensive ends position played extremely well, provided big-time plays when we really needed them. Obviously, Ja'Kai Lang had the sack in the third quarter on the drive that ended up being the missed field goal. Johnny Walker had the sack on the last drive of the game, and then Eddie Kelly was involved in two of the three tackles on the last stop defensively. Zion Young had just his best game since he's been here, and so just really proud of him and the way he provided leadership to our team on the sideline, and the energy, responded every time we put him in bad situations. Coach Batoon and the defensive staff deserve a lot of credit. We got to continue to improve and build upon that performance, but I was just really proud of those guys. Offensively, I'm really proud of Mookie Cooper, the play he made in the third quarter. Luther Burden, the way he responded to the adversity from the muffed punt. Obviously Brady, and then the offensive line on that 17-play drive, the big fourth down conversion, quarterback checks protection. Luther makes a great route, quarterback delivers the ball, and then obviously Jamal Roberts to find his way into the end zone, runs through two unblocked guys. Just really key plays and key moments. Talk about competitive greatness, being your best when your best is needed. I thought those guys really did a nice job of that. So proud of those guys, but like we've done so many times before, now it's on to the next challenge, and boy, is it a big challenge. Opportunity to play against a top 15 opponent. I think they've only been beaten once at home in the last, 10 or 11 years. That was Texas last year. So really good football team with a tradition and history of winning in that stadium at home. They've got elite players all over the field, top 100 players, top 100 draft picks on both sides of the football. Offensively, their offensive line, really big physical players, know exactly who they're blocking and how to protect the quarterback. Their quarterback is a dynamic athlete, and quarterback has really improved. It's a hallmark of Coach DeBoer's offense, is taking a quarterback and developing him into a great passer, which he does that, and then obviously he has the ability to scramble, make plays with his feet. I think the biggest thing offensively that they've done is the design quarterback runs, specifically in the red area, have been huge difference makers for their team. They utilize all the shifts and motions to try to gain a number advantage, and then they have that number advantage with the quarterback as the extra hat. So I think Coach Smart accurately described it after his game. You have to kind of pick your poison if you double team the freshman wide receiver Ryan Williams, who's 17 years old. Then you leave yourself a hat down in the quarterback. So really difficult challenge there on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, Coach Womack has a great scheme, elite linebackers, very talented defensive line. I would say them and Texas A&M's defensive line are the two best that we've seen so far, and probably will see. I would say Georgia has an argument that being the top 3 D lines in this conference. Young at defensive back, but they have some really talented players, guys who were really highly recruited. Obviously, they've got the transfer corner, Dominique Jackson, that kind of anchors their cornerback position. They're battling some injuries, but they have the Malachi Moore, who is an elite player at the safety position. And so really good defense, special teams, fast, talented team. And it will be a tremendous challenge, but we accept the challenge. This is going to be a challenge for our team to not focus on all the reasons why we can't. We got to focus on the reasons why we can, and we have to play it one play at a time. This is going to be really important to lean into our this play philosophy and not worry about the scoreboard or worry about previous plays or next play's disappointments. We got to play the life of this play as hard as we possibly can and continually to do that. I know everyone's going to want a health update with our guys. I don't have much of one just because we haven't practiced. We practiced this afternoon, so I don't know for sure either way. We'll follow SEC protocols, and we'll get that information out tomorrow night between Zach and Kat, and we'll follow the new SEC protocols before I issue any updates on the health of our team. So with that, take any questions you got.
Eli, are you expecting Brady to be at practice today?
Yes, I expect Brady to be at practice. Define at.
Participating in practice.
Oh, I don't know if I'd say participating. I anticipate that he will be out at practice, but that's why I'm not letting the media at practice, so that y'all can't worry about what he's doing or not doing at practice.
Coach, after the game last week, you said that you believe the number one trait of the quarterback is toughness. Out of all the traits, why is that one number one in your eyes?
Well, we kind of define it as toughness, preparation, discipline, decision-making, accuracy, and leadership. And I just think from a position, you got to have both mental and physical toughness. You have to be physically tough to be able to stand in there and take the hits. I mean, golly, Drew Pine's first 4 plays, he got rocked, and there wasn't really anything wrong with the calls or wrong with the offensive line. It's just that's the nature of the game. Obviously, Brady did too. So you have to be physically tough. And you're relying on everybody else to do their job, and everybody's not always going to do their job to the best. They're going to try, but it's not always going to be executed. And defenses have, plays too, and they've got plays that are better than your scheme. So you're going to have to physically take hits, and then you got to be mentally tough, because no matter what's thrown at you, you're expected on this play to perform at the highest level, and you've got to do that. Back in the day, quarterbacks didn't have to make a decision on every play. There was plays where you just had to hand the ball off. That's not the case anymore at our quarterback position. If there's 78 plays, within each play he's got 10, 12, 15 different decisions that he has to make. And so to be that mentally tough for that much of a game and to perform at an elite level, I think it's really, really challenging. And if it was so easy, the people who predicted this quarterback should go in the first round and then he goes there and he's not successful, it wouldn't happen as much. I mean, all these players that are playing quarterback in the NFL, there's a third that are really good, another third that are just average, and another third that everybody wants to bench. And those guys are the 66 best quarterbacks in the world. So I think it's a really tough position from a physical and a mental standpoint, because you have to mentally handle the ups and downs of the game.
Eli, with everything it took for Brady to get back on the field of the weekend, if that's a road game, is that a different? Do you have all the same resources available? If that's not a home game, is it possible to get him back out there?
No, because if it's not a home game, we're not able to get over to MU Health, and we're not able to get the MRI, and we're not able to get that read in a timely manner. That's the one time I was very thankful that games lasted 3.5 hours. Because if it was a 2.5-hour game, it probably wouldn't happen. So, no, it wouldn't be a possibility if you weren't at home. And very fortunate for MU Healthcare, and it's another reason why this is one of the best universities in the world. It's an AAU institution. It's we're the state school and the land grant institution, and you got the ability to have your own health care. We got several players on our team who are there. Chuck Hicks's child was born a couple weeks ago over at MU Healthcare, and we've got a few more that'll be coming. So. It's an awesome thing.
Coach, when you face a quarterback who has 11 rushing touchdowns and a good running back duo, how much more important is gap integrity and pass rush integrity?
Yeah, obviously, if there's open gaps, again, these guys up front are so big, they create space just by the size that they have. So we're going to have to do a really good job of stopping the run, and anytime you commit more people to doing that, you're leaving one-on-ones or voids in your zone coverage. So it's a real challenge, and then you add on top of it that if you rush 4, and he gets vertical in his escape, then you got real problems. So I think the biggest key for us is we got to figure out how to rush the passer, and obviously we can do that, but we can't create vertical rush lanes for him to escape through. Once he gets his shoulders pointed downhill, he's got unbelievable speed. He's got great vision. Really good thrower, so he's the definition of a dual threat quarterback.
Coach, you kind of mentioned it in your opening statement, but what are you going to need coverage-wise from your defense to get a result on Saturday?
Like pass coverage?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to need blankets. We're going to have to cover them. We're going to have to do our jobs. I think Coach Batoon obviously has a pretty good feel of mixing up coverages, and I thought we did a really good job of that on Saturday, but we cannot let the deep ball beat us. And that's been an issue for us. We've given up way too many deep balls, deep shots. Obviously, the touchdown that Auburn had in the game, Boston College, Vanderbilt, all had deep throws. So, we're going to have to keep the ball in front of us. And again, goes back to this play philosophy. We got to knock it down and get back up and play this play, and we can't give up explosives for touchdowns.
Coach, you talked a lot about Luther's growth in his time here. What did it tell you on Saturday when he was able to come back from that muff punt and make a big impact on that last drive in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, obviously, he was disappointed in that decision. We all were. It's probably more on me than anything versus that punt return. I should have had an automatic fair catch on it. And he was trying to make a play with the frustrations of the day. But you can't do that. You have to play within the play, and you can't force something that's not there. But yeah, I mean, he responded. Everybody understood what he was trying to do. You don't condone it, but we understood it. And so it was about just focusing on this play for the fourth quarter. And obviously in the fourth quarter, the biggest moments, that third down and fourth down, were huge, and he did exactly what we needed him to do.
Eli, when you look at all the different kinds of ways your team has found to win this season, what kind of confidence does that give you going into a game like this, and of course the back half of the SEC schedule?
Yeah, I think you have a lot of confidence in our players' grit and toughness. This is going to be a new challenge that we weren't able to measure up to last time, just with the size of the stadium and going on the road and a ranked opponent. And so, we're going to have to challenge ourselves to meet this challenge, and we're going to have to work hard this week to build up our confidence. Your confidence comes from your preparation. Like I told those guys, don't wish for it to be Saturday. Just focus on having the best Toughness Tuesday that you can have, because then you'll know on Saturday you're ready to play. And so that for us is really going to be the confidence that we have is what kind of practice do we have today? Can we piece together the details in practice today so that we can perform on Saturday? It's going to be a heck of a test. I don't have the stat right in front of me, but I know it's pretty gaudy. They've lost one home game in a long time, and that was Texas last year. So, and I maybe Kat can get it for us. I have no idea what their SEC home record is. I bet it's a lot. So.
Cody, what have you learned about playing in a challenging environment in Texas A&M and Kyle Field? How do you translate that to this week against Alabama?
Yeah, I think the first thing is we can't play. I don't want to use the word. I want to be cautious with my words here. We can't play over-analyzing every situation. We can't have too many checks on both sides of the ball. We can't have too many what-ifs. We can't have, if they do this, and we're going to do this, and if they do this, if they motion to this, we're going to check to this, or if they show us this coverage, we're going to check to this. Like, we got to go out there and play football. And it's going to come down to who's able to stop the run, who's able to run the football, who's able to defend the pass. Are we going to be able to tackle? Are they going to be able to tackle us? Are you going to be able to play clean on special teams? I think sometimes we get caught up too much in the minutia, and if you just go back and watch our game from a 10,000 feet view, just because it was a good idea doesn't make it the best idea for our team. We got to focus on what we can do, and if our base call allows our guys to play fast and without hesitation, then that's going to be the best thing that we can do in the game. And so the biggest thing that we can go in there, and the thing that I've challenged our team, is play with zero hesitation. Go out there and play as fast as you possibly can, and don't hesitate. And when the play's there, go make it.
Is there any impact during the week with how much familiarity there is with, obviously, Corey and Kane working together, and Kirby and Kalen also?
Yeah, that's interesting because there is quite a bit of familiarity for both sides of the ball on what schemes. I mean, we go good on good. That's probably the best show team you can get, because we run a lot of the same pass concepts. We run a lot. They have a big difference in their run scheme. Our run scheme's a lot different than theirs. But in the pass concepts, it's very similar. I mean, our quarterback can watch all their throws and say, okay, that's this concept, this concept, this concept. The challenge is we don't know when they're going to do it, right? And so, I think there's some of that. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the players on the field making plays, and we're going to try to put them in the best positions possible to defend what they do. Obviously, I think both sides of the ball will try to have some wrinkles that put us in a bind, whether it's, for us offensively, whether it's, a coverage that we don't like, or defensively, if it's a motion that we don't like.
Is that something you do anymore this week then? Play the, one-on-ones in practice?
I would if we were healthy. But
Coach, when you reviewed the film from last week on the offensive line, what did you like from them, and then what do you think they need to work on as they face guys like LT and
I thought we had our best day running the inside zone. I thought we were pretty square, push vertical. Obviously, we had some A-gap integrity issues in protections. Gave up a sack on a sim pressure that we actually picked up, but we just didn't finish. So we got to do a better job in our A-gap identification on pressures, and we've got to sustain blocks longer. They got elite D-line. They always have, and I assume that they always will, with the way that they recruit. But they've got elite players, great pass rushers, big physical guys that can stone you at the point of attack. I think their linebackers are really good. I think they might be the best set of linebackers that we've played this year from a physicality standpoint. So we got a task ahead of us.
Coach, on the flip side of that, Alabama's offensive line you mentioned is very confident squad, giving up about 2 sacks a year, or 2 sacks a game. What is the plan to beat that in the trenches, and how will that help define the game?
We're going to try Dan Lanning's approach and play 12. Just see. Add an extra rusher. See if anybody notices. So, yeah, we're going to go play football. I mean, there's no magic to it. It's not like we're going to come up with new schemes. We're going to do what we do, and they're going to do what they do. And we're going to have a great practice today. So.
When you see a player like Ryan Williams, especially a freshman 17-year-old, to you.
Is he 17?
What is
It's remarkable. When's his birthday? February.
What intangibles do you believe he has already to be playing at this high level so quickly?
I don't know. I mean, if you're 17 playing at this high level. Special player, special talent, obviously. I think aside from the size, ball skill, speed, quickness, agility, obviously attention to detail, obviously ability to retain information, I think there's just a competitive spirit about him that's pretty impressive for him to make those plays, specifically in Georgia, the fade ball in the Tennessee game. There's a competitive quality that he has that is special. I don't know that age is that big of a factor when you have those kind of gifts. So.
You led in that last game there against Auburn. Were there any steps you were hoping to see the offense take, and do you think you got a fair shot at that, even with your starting quarterback out for most of it?
It's hard to go back and evaluate a lot of that. You can evaluate some individual performances, but just because of the nature of the injuries, first drive you lose your starting running back, your starting quarterback. Second drive you lose your starting tight end. You're already down a couple of wide receivers. At that point, it's just about figuring out how do you put enough patches on it to win the game. And ultimately, I think the great reminder for me is it's about winning the football game and not getting caught up with the outside noise and measurements of everybody's team. All right, it's about playing on Saturday and finding a way to win that game, and not worrying about what the criticisms are. You going to drop in the polls, all that stuff. None of that matters. At the end of the day, you play to win the game, and if you win, you figure out why you did, and if you lose, you figure out why you didn't, and you keep going to work. And getting caught up in what people's opinions are about our football team is a waste of time, and I don't care. I really don't. I don't care what anybody says about our team. Our team is our team. It's who we got. I love those guys. We're trying like heck every day to get a little bit better to try to go win on Saturdays, and that's what this team displayed on Saturday. And couldn't be any more proud of them. And whether or not people think, whatever people think about it, I really don't care.
You guys are 7-0 in one-score games the last 2 years. What's the common thread there?
We need to be in those because we're not good when we get blown out. I think that's a great stat. I think our guys focus on situational football. I think we understand it. We play to that. We talk about it all the time. The margins are so small, and if you can get in those games, maybe that's when a coach can have some impact on the strategy they use. But, I think that's a little bit skewed because both the LSU and the Georgia game should have been one-score games. We end up throwing the pick six at the end of the LSU game. That's a one-score game. And so we had a chance there too. In Georgia too, we ended up giving up that field goal after the pick, which made it a 9-point game. So, balls bounced towards us. Maybe 2022, we were not nearly as good in one-score games. So sometimes the ball bounces for you, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes veteran teams find ways to win. I do think the one quality that I think this team really has that shows up is a refusal to give in. And I think in college football, that's not always the norm. You know, I don't think that's always the norm. I think people get into that here we go again mode, or they don't focus on this play, they focus on the final scoreboard, and our team just doesn't seem to do that right now.
Coach, I'm curious kind of broadly with that. Is there anything that you learned about this year's team that you didn't know at the start of fall camp when they got together?
Yeah, I didn't know how they would gel. I didn't know how hard they would play with each other and for each other. I didn't know if they would be able to bounce back from adversity. Like, you can add talent to a roster and to a culture, but until you get tested, you really don't know what you got. And I think, you know, that was a real positive for us after A&M and being tested and seeing kind of what we had. Obviously, we were tested in different ways in the Vanderbilt game and the Boston College game, but you know, now we've faced some adversity, faced even more Saturday. We're going to face a lot more this Saturday. So just got to stay in the fight, and you're never out of it. You know, if you believe in yourself and you believe in each other, then you're never out of the fight.
Coach, your first game as head coach of the University of Missouri was against Alabama. Was this week of preparation feel different from that week?
That was COVID. I knew about it. I think it was like July 7th is when they announced the SEC schedule, and I was down at Lake of the Ozarks. I knew I was going to be playing the #1 team in the country in the first game of my career here, so I didn't sleep very well for however many months that was. So I think probably mature-wise, I don't pay as much attention to all that stuff anymore. But still a tremendous amount of respect for the brand. Kalen DeBoer is an elite football coach. I mean, arguably the best coach in college football, him and Coach Smart. You know, with a very talented roster, with a team that he's still putting his, you know, identity on, and organization he's putting his identity on. So, really big challenge. You know, I've always viewed them as a challenge. So it'll be a challenge whether we were at Auburn or whether we're here, you know, playing Alabama is a challenge.
With what you mentioned about the offensive injuries, with Jordan Harris, though, it really seems like he's made the most of the opportunity with Brett being banged up. Just what role has he earned himself on this team?
Yeah, consistent. You know, he battled some injuries too in fall camp, but is consistent. You know, just does his job. We're really proud of him for bouncing back after that big, you know, after the drop, for him to make that catch and get us down the sideline. The next drive or series, I thought was really big for his confidence. So proud of him.
Coach, just so you know, it's 37-2 in SEC over the last 10 years.
37-2 in the last 10 years. It's pretty tough.
Anything else for Coach?
Who are the two? Auburn. It's got to be Auburn. It's got to be Gus. Huh? LSU a couple years ago. And then Gus, or no? Ole Miss in 15 and LSU in 22. Brian Kelly's first year. There you go. It's tough. It's a good one.
Thank you.
MIZ.